The neon sign outside the diner flickered, casting a warm glow that felt like home to Luna Reyes. Inside, the familiar blend of clinking dishes and murmured conversations created a comforting hum. Tonight, like every Friday, she stood next to the weathered microphone, her heart thrumming with anticipation. As the soft texture of the guitar settled against her, she closed her eyes and let the music pull her in. Each note flowed freely, a blend of hope and heartache woven through every lyric. She was alive up there, stirring something deep within the sparse crowd who were mostly anonymous faces, but tonight felt different. There was a palpable spark in the air. Luna's voice danced effortlessly, a delicate thread stitching her dreams into reality. She scanned the room, where the flickering candlelight painted stories into shadows, envisioning the impossible. Maybe one day those shadows would be filled with cheers from a larger audience. Mid-song, a figure loomed at the bar. Miguel Torres, the infamous music producer, leaned against the counter, his sharp gaze fixed on her. Clad in tailored elegance, he seemed to bring an air of the world she longed to enter but barely understood. When she finished, the applause felt stunted, a mere echo against the unyielding silence of his scrutiny. "That voice deserves more than this diner," he remarked, dismissive, as if the very atmosphere around her was unworthy. "You don't belong here." Her heart dropped at his words, a rush of heat rising to her cheeks. Was she just a fleeting moment in a crowded diner, meant to stay hidden among the locals forever? The thrill of being noticed turned bitter in her mouth, a hard knot tightening in her throat. She struggled to maintain her composure, but felt a familiar wave of shame creeping in. "Thanks," she replied, her voice barely rising above the din, unsure if her fragility showed through her forced smile. As Miguel turned away, Luna stepped back, the warmth of the stage fading. Her reflection in the cracked mirror stumbled before her, revealing a girl wrestling with dreams too big for this small town. Shadows danced on her face, mirroring the turmoil inside her, a gnawing fear that her songs, her very essence, might never break free from the diner's four walls. In the quiet that followed, Luna felt the weight of expectations settle upon her shoulders. Was she destined to be invisible, a footnote in someone else's story? But then a flicker of resolve ignited within her. "I will not be just another voice here," she whispered to her reflection, steadying herself. This diner was not the end. It was merely the beginning. As the final echoes of her performance faded and the chatter of the diner resumed, Luna grasped her guitar tightly, envisioning all the stages waiting for her beyond this place. She would carve her path, face her fears, and prove that she was worthy of more than just the role of a forgotten diner singer. The journey ahead would test her, but the melody in her heart stirred with unquenchable hope. The flickering light of dawn streamed through the thin curtain of Luna's bedroom, illuminating the dusty surfaces and the faded posters that adorned the walls. A guitar rested in the corner, reminding her of the dreams she clung to even on the hardest days. She often found herself drifting back to a time when music was just a shared laughter, echoing through the living room of their modest home. In her mind's eye, she saw her mother, Clara, vibrant and full of life, strumming the old guitar, while Luna and her younger brother Nico danced and sang along. It was a time before the weight of the world pressed down on them, back when they would turn off the TV and create their own magic, their laughter rising like the notes into the air. "Let's sing our song, Luna," Clara would say, her spirit infectious. Luna could still hear her mother's laughter ringing out, a concert just for them. Those evenings were filled with simple joys, but they were also shadowed by unspoken worries. The bills piled high on the kitchen table, and the anxious glances exchanged when Luna asked if her father would ever come home. He had left when she was young, taking with him the certainty that life could be anything but loud and chaotic. One particular night, Luna recalled vividly. The moonlight spilled through the window as they huddled together on the living room floor, a fort built from blankets and dreams. Clara's fingers danced over the guitar strings, and the room transformed into a sanctuary where life outside didn't exist. A smile spread across Luna's face. "Promise me something, Luna," her mother had said, her voice soft and serious. "Promise me you'll chase your dreams, no matter how hard it gets. You have a gift. Don't let anyone make you feel small." "I promise, Mom," she had replied, her small hands gripping her mother's tightly. That night, all fears dissipated with the music, her heart swelling with possibilities. Yet, As years passed and hardships thickened the air, the sweet innocence of those moments grew distant. Luna shook her head, pushing the memories aside as she strummed her guitar. She penned lyrics that felt like breadcrumbs leading back to those fleeting delights, while wrestling with emotions she had yet to express. Each word was laden with longing, a desire to be seen, to chase the echo of the girl who sang with abandon. She dove into the pages of her notebook, pouring her heart onto the paper. Here she was safe. Her vulnerability became her strength. Months passed as Luna continued to perform at the diner, each show stitching together a patchwork quilt of self-discovery. Though she felt the numbing pressure Miguel had placed on her, a part of her found comfort in the familiarity of the stage. However, beneath that comfort lay a deep-rooted fear that tightened her throat like a vice. The day Miguel made his bold entrance shifted something within her. The allure of opportunity tempted her, while the fear of obscurity lingered. She couldn't escape it. Singing to the same crowd night after night began to feel monotonous, like running in circles. The joy she had once found in performance started to flicker under the strain of expectation. "Why don't you sing something original tonight?" Eli suggested one evening, breaking through her thoughts. He was seated across from her at their favorite booth, an encouraging smile lighting up his familiar face. His presence always grounded her. "I don't know, Eli. I don't think they want to hear my stuff," she admitted, the hesitation in her voice evident. "Don't sell yourself short. Your songs mean something. Tell your story," he urged, his eyes sincere. Eli had his own ambitions, dreams of making it big, but his relentless support for Luna was unwavering. He struggled with insecurities of his own, yet he fought to uplift her, often reminding her of their shared passion for music. "You have to remember, it's not always about the spotlight or the cheers. It's about being true to yourself," Eli continued, the conviction in his tone penetrating her doubts. "If you can make just one person feel what you feel, that's enough." Luna looked down, contemplating his words. "I'm scared, Eli. What if they don't like it? Then write another song, but you can't stop trying, not now." He leaned closer, his voice lowering. "You owe it to yourself." That night, as she lay in bed, Luna turned his words over and over in her mind. She imagined the joy of expressing her true self and the pain of not being accepted. The songs she had tucked away felt like fire creeping up her spine, itching to escape. That realization stirred something long dormant within her, but fear still gnawed at her thoughts. Her past reverberated like a fragile echo, a parallel between her childhood aspirations and her current reality. It was then she remembered her mother's voice, her encouragement rippling through time like a stone cast into a pool. "Chase your dreams, Luna." With a jolt of resolve, she sat up, grasping her guitar in the moonlit room. The hesitation began to fade, replaced with the urge to transform pain into melody. If she could weave her past into her present, perhaps she could pave her way toward a future brimming with authenticity. Luna strummed the strings, the notes resonating in the stillness of her room, pulling her back to that excited little girl who sang without fear. She took a breath, letting the music unfurl, each strum a small declaration of defiance against the doubts that had collected like dust over the years. In that moment, Luna began to write, not just for herself, but for the little girl who still believed in magic, the one who danced under the stars without a care. She was ready to embrace her roots and finally step into her own light. The following week at the diner, anticipation buzzed in the air like the first hint of spring stirring after a long winter. Word had spread that Luna was going to perform an original song, and her stomach fluttered with equal parts excitement and terror. She could feel the weight of expectations and hopes settling heavily on her shoulders, but with every step toward the stage, her resolve grew stronger. As she stood behind the microphone, the diner felt alive, filled with familiar faces that had followed her journey through melodies and moments. Eli sat at the front. His presence was grounding. He offered her a reassuring nod that whispered, "You can do this." The warmth of the community engulfed her, and for the first time since Miguel's visit, Luna felt a flicker of confidence igniting beneath her ribcage. "Hey everyone," she began, her voice shaky at first, but it steadied as she looked out into the crowd. "Tonight, I want to share something new, a piece that comes from somewhere deep inside me." The chatter hushed as she strummed her guitar, the first notes hanging in the air like a promise. Luna took a deep breath, letting the rhythm fill the space around her. The song was born from fragments of her childhood, woven with her hopes and fears, the fears that had once shackled her voice in doubt. As she sang, she could feel the lyrics spilling out, a cascade of emotions that danced across the crowd. The pain layered with resilience, the joy intertwined with sorrow. Every note became an intimate confession. In those moments, Luna transcended the diner, pulling everyone into her world, a world crafted from dreams, memories, and the unwavering spirit of her mother's encouragement. It wasn't just a song, it was a revelation. Tears glistened in the eyes of her audience, and when she hit the final chord, the applause erupted like fireworks, a wave of warmth washing over her. Familiar faces cheered, and Eli's grin could have lit the room on fire. For the first time, the audience wasn't just clapping for a performance. They were embracing her truth. "That was incredible," Eli exclaimed as she stepped off the stage, his voice brimming with excitement. "You really poured yourself into that." "It felt good," Luna admitted, her heart still racing. "I think I needed that more than I realized." The remnants of fear that had once paralyzed her melted away, replaced with an exhilarating sense of liberation. The night continued, but Luna found herself floating, resonating in the bliss of connection. Conversations swirled around her, people sharing how her song resonated with their own struggles and dreams. It magnified the meaning behind her words, and suddenly she wasn't just a girl with a guitar. She was a vessel for emotions that transcended her own. But as the moment began to fade, the reality of the outside world seeped back in. Miguel's dismissive words rang through her mind again, the echoes of doubt resurfacing. What if this was a fleeting moment of connection and nothing more? She turned towards the corner of the diner, where Miguel watched her with an inscrutable expression, arms crossed and mouth set in a tight line. Then he approached her, and her heart sank. "Impressive, but don't get ahead of yourself," he said, his tone cool and calculating. "You're talented, but you've also got a long way to go to make it in this industry." Something shifted inside her. A flicker of defiance ignited. She had spent too long hiding behind fear and judgment. "Why do you always have to be such a downer?" she shot back, surprising herself with the boldness. "Can't you just, for once, let someone celebrate their moment?" Luna realized just how empowering it was to stand her ground, to challenge the criticisms that had haunted her for so long. She wouldn't let his doubt extinguish the light she had just found. "Mom always told me to chase my dreams," she stated firmly, her voice steady. "And I'm not stopping now because of you." With that, Luna turned and walked away, feeling lighter, unburdened by the weight of his presence. For the first time in ages, the exhilarating taste of possibility washed over her. She found herself at the door of the diner, the cool night air wrapping around her like a protective cloak. Eager to savor the taste of victory, Luna stepped outside. Under the sprawling canvas of stars, it felt like the universe was urging her to keep moving forward. This wasn't just a personal battle. It was a journey meant to transcend her struggles and ignites resilience amongst others. As she returned home that night, her heart was bursting with hope, a hope that even the dimmest light could grow, evolve, and ultimately shine bright. She remembered her mother's words. They pulsed with renewed energy in her soul. Back in her room, Luna picked up her guitar, the notes still reverberating in her mind. Ideas burst forth like wildflowers blooming in spring as she composed a new song, weaving more threads of her story, connecting her past experiences with the journey ahead. Each word became a brushstroke on the canvas of her life. There was so much yet to be written, and in that moment of quiet creation, Luna knew she had taken her first step, not just towards her dreams, but towards herself. Days turned into weeks as Luna immersed herself in her music, letting the creativity flow like a river bursting its banks. Each night, she returned to the diner, transforming behind the microphone. As she shared her original songs, her confidence blossomed, and the audience gradually shifted from curious onlookers to devoted supporters. Familiar faces illuminated with recognition and pride, and she could see the spark of inspiration ignited by her journey. During those performances, Luna began to feel the shift within herself, a rebirth of sorts. The scars of her past started to fade against the strength she now carried, yet the fear still lingered beneath the surface. Despite the growing connection with her audience, self-doubt would creep into her mind, casting shadows during her quiet moments alone. On one particular Saturday night, the diner was buzzing with energy, filled to capacity by crowds eager to witness her transformation. Luna positioned herself at the mic, basking in the warm spotlight, though her heart thudded loudly in her chest. She had prepared a new song, a piece that encapsulated not only her personal metamorphosis, but also embraced the spirit of resilience that had brought her this far. As she strummed the first chords, the familiar rush of adrenaline surged through her. The lyrics poured out like a river bursting through the dam, an anthem about rising from the ashes and embracing the person she had fought hard to become. The crowd hung on her every word, entranced not just by the sound, but by the energy radiating from her soul. "This one is for anyone who's ever felt small or lost," she declared, her gaze sweeping across the faces filled with encouragement. "Don't give up on your dreams, no matter how far away they seem. You have the power within you to change your story." As she sang, something shifted in the air. A magnetic connection pulsed between her and the audience. It was not just her voice they heard, but her spirit resonating through every note. Feet began to tap against the hardwood floor, hands flew in the air, and laughter bloomed in the corners. It was as if the very walls of the diner had come alive, celebrating not just her triumph, but a collective yearning for hope, a hope that breathed life into the mundane and colored it vibrant. In the mesmerizing moment of performance, Luna's thoughts drifted back to the many nights she'd spent rehearsing alone in her room. She thought of her mother, the way Clara had lovingly pressed her through moments of doubt, filling her head with dreams of grandeur and courage. Here now the dream was alive, thriving in a way she had never fully imagined. The song came to a powerful crescendo, the final chorus echoing like a thunderclap against the walls. As she struck the last chord, the diner erupted in applause. Joy and disbelief washed over her like a wave crashing against the shore, his warmth surging inside her chest. She stood there, heart racing, tears of happiness streaming down her cheeks. She had poured herself into that moment, and the world had embraced her wholeheartedly. After her performance, Luna found herself surrounded by friends, Eli, patrons, and fellow musicians who had begun to see her not as just the girl from the diner, but as an artist worth celebrating. Yet a familiar figure hovered at the periphery of her vision, Miguel. His eyes pinched in skepticism, arms crossed defiantly as clients praised her, and in that moment, uncertainty unfurled like a dark blanket in her mind. "What do you think?" Eli asked, his voice penetrating the awkward tension. "You've come so far, Luna. You should be proud of yourself." With a deep breath, she turned to Miguel. "I'm proud," she said, her voice steady despite the wrestling of her heart. "I wrote this song for everyone who's felt doubt, but I also wrote it for myself. I have a story worth sharing." Miguel raised an eyebrow, seemingly weighing her words. Before he could respond, she pressed on, trying to summon the strength he had tried to stifle. "You might not see it, but I have what it takes, just like anyone else in this room." For the first time, a glimmer flickered across his stoic face, a brief acknowledgement that perhaps he had underestimated her. But she didn't wait for his validation. She chose to focus on the laughter around her, on the warmth of the community she had nurtured through her journey. That night, Luna felt the shift within her transform from mere ember to roaring flame, fear yielding to tenacity. She longed to explore beyond the diner, beyond the small towns and into the big stages where she could share her music with the world. In the days that followed, Luna poured herself into her songs with a newfound fervor. She searched for open mic nights, explored music festivals, and reached out to local record labels. Her world expanded beyond those familiar walls, and she felt herself evolving. But as she took those steps, the harsh reality of the industry gnawed at her once more. Those around her began to echo Miguel's sentiments, cautionary tales of rejection, the whispers of what if. Calls went unanswered, doors remained closed. At times, the darkness threatened to seep back in, reminding her of the shadows she had fought so hard to distance herself from. One evening, in a moment of vulnerability, Luna plopped down on the couch, defeated. "What if it's all for nothing?" she murmured to Eli, who sat across from her, flicking through channels. "Nothing is ever for nothing," he replied, sincerity echoing from his eyes. "Every step you've taken has led you to this moment. Just think about where you started. You're not the girl hiding in the corner anymore. You're a force to be reckoned with." She leaned into his reassurance, letting the warmth of his belief wrap around her like an old blanket. "All right, maybe you're right," she said, the edges of her lips curling into a small smile. "I'll keep going. I just need to remind myself to breathe." Eli nodded, encouraging her. Just like that, You have something beautiful to share. Let it be your gift to the world, and it will find its way. In that moment of friendship and solidarity, the weight of doubt lifted. Luna grabbed her guitar, allowing the notes to guide her. She poured every ounce of her heart into her music, and in return, music began to pour back into her, infusing her existence with life, color, and purpose. The world beyond the diner awaited her. She was a fighter, a seeker of dreams, and now she was ready to embrace every note of the journey ahead. Luna's determination transformed her into a whirlwind of creativity, pushing her ever forward into the world beyond the diner. She filled her days with late-night jam sessions, applying for open mics, and relentlessly pursuing connections, hoping to uncover opportunities glittering just out of reach. Her resolve was a dawn breaking over a horizon of untraveled paths. It was a rainy afternoon when she received an unexpected message. A local music festival was coming to town, and they were looking for new talent to showcase on the main stage. Her heart raced as she read the invitation, the email shimmering with possibility. This was it, a chance to seize her dream and share her music with a larger audience. "Eli, look at this," Luna exclaimed, waving her phone excitedly at him as they sat together at their usual diner booth. The smells of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee created a cozy ambience, but her focus was on the glow of her device. "I have to apply. It could change everything." Eli leaned in, his eyes brightening at her enthusiasm. "This is huge. You have to do it and show them just how incredible you are." He grinned, adding, "Just think of all those people hearing your story. It's time for the world to see you shine." A sense of urgency filled Luna as she spent the next few days reworking her songs and meticulously preparing her application video. She made sure to showcase not only her talent, but also her genuine passion for music and storytelling. The festival held promise, a glimmering opportunity, and she could almost feel the energy of the audience pulsing ahead of her. As the deadline approached, excitement turned into restlessness. Luna rehearsed in a frenzy, her heart racing with hopes both high and precariously tenuous. Tears of frustration slipped down her cheeks as she questioned the gravity of her ambitions. Would they see the artist she blossomed into, or would they dismiss her presence as insignificant among the sea of aspiring musicians? On the eve of submission, she spent hours refining her video, pouring her heart into the footage, expressing every ounce of vulnerability she had found in her songwriting journey. With one last deep breath, she pressed send, feeling a rush of liberation wash over her. Regardless of the outcome, she had done something significant. She had fought for her voice, and now she had to trust the process. With every passing day thereafter, Luna nestled into a routine of waiting. Yet in that space, self-doubt began to marinate alongside her excitement. The cruel anxiety of silence retold Miguel's skeptically familiar refrain. Time dragged on, and the festival's announcement date lingered in her mind like a heavy fog. Then, after weeks of anxious anticipation, she received an email. Trembling, Luna opened it. Her heart sank for a fleeting moment, her breath catching as she read the text. The committee was impressed with her application, and they wanted her to perform. The exhilaration that surged through her was electric, a volcano of joy erupting from her chest. She screamed, pulling Eli into a hug, his laughter ringing through the air like music. "I did it! I really did it!" With the festival looming ever closer, Luna showered her days with relentless rehearsals. She practiced until her fingers felt bruised and her voice hoarse, a testament to the tenacity she had cultivated. With every strum of the guitar, she reclaimed her essence, breathing life into her songs once more. Scheduling conflicts collided with small moments of triumph. But amidst the chaos, Luna pressed forward. She connected with other musicians set to perform at the festival, learning from their experiences and exchanging energy. The nerves she initially harbored began to transmogrify into something more familiar. Excitement and camaraderie strengthened her resolve. As the festival day approached, Luna found herself caught in a swirl of emotions. Euphoria collided with trepidation. On the surface, the world buzzed with the revelry of performance, but internally an emotional storm brewed, reminding her of all she had endured to arrive at this moment, a journey steeped in growth, vulnerability, and rebirth. The morning of the festival dawned bright and fresh, sunlight streaming through her window as if the universe was celebrating alongside her. Still, as she stood backstage, awaiting her turn amidst thrumming guitars, laughter, and anticipation, Luan felt the weight of the moment close in. The backdrop was colorful, vibrantly alive, with paths leading to sprawling stages adorned with dreamers like her ready to share their stories. Breathing through the fleeting fear, she found herself alone with her thoughts. Memories of her mother rushed back, wrapping around her like an old song. "Remember why you're here," Clara had often said. "You have a gift worth sharing." With newfound strength and clarity, Luna emerged, summoning the spirit of her mother as her guiding force. And then, it was her turn. The announcer called her name, and with shaking hands, Luna stepped onto the stage. The crowd surged before her, an ocean of faces, some familiar, others waiting in anticipation. Taking a moment, she scanned the audience, letting their energy wash over her. The spotlight felt warm, an embrace that reminded her of all the love and support bubbling just beneath the surface of this moment. She positioned her fingers on the guitar and inhaled deeply, picking up the threads of her story. As she launched into her song, each note flowed effortlessly, wrapping around the crowd like a gentle embrace. She sang not only of her journey, but of universal struggles, the yearning for connection, the fight against doubt, and the relentless pursuit of dreams. The rhythm pulsed in sync with the heartbeat of the audience, and she could feel the connection, the shared emotion coursing between them. Her voice lifted higher, defying the confines of the moment. With each chord and lyric, Luna poured out her heart, infusing the air with hope. In that moment, she transformed from an anxious performer to an embodiment of resilience. The audience responded. She could feel their energy, their encouragement reverberating through her soul. As she finished, the applause erupted like a celebration, forceful and uplifting. The crowd cheered, voices blending into a choir of support. It was a moment she had longed for, and finally, here it was, alive and vibrant. In the wake of that performance, Luna stepped off stage exhilarated and transformed. The experience felt like a cleansing rebirth. She had shared her truth, and for the first time, the echoes of fear gave way to unshakable self-belief. As friends and fellow performers rushed towards her, she felt the warmth of their embrace, their recognition a testament to her journey. Eli wrapped her in a tight hug, his excitement thrumming against her, and she could see the pride reflected in his eyes. "I always knew you could do it," he said, and in that moment his words settled deep within her heart, solidifying the newfound conviction she had unearthed. This was only the beginning of unveiling the music, the stories, and the dreams yet to come. With the festival behind her, a bright new chapter unfolded for Luna. She felt buoyed by the applause, propelled forward by the momentum of her performance, a taste of success that only stoked her dreams. The calls from local radio stations began pouring in, eager to feature her music. Streaming offers bubbled up, and a professional recording label expressed interest in collaborating. The world was finally paying attention, but success had its own shadows, and as Luna stepped into the limelight, she quickly learned that with visibility came scrutiny. Social media platforms buzzed with reactions, ranging from love-struck fans to critical voices echoing Miguel's initial skepticism. Each glowing review spiraled into praises of a budding star, but every harsh comment felt like a dagger, each one questioning her authenticity and whispering doubts about whether she was deserving of this newfound visibility. "Hey, did you see what some people are saying?" Eli asked one evening as they lounged in their favorite booth at the diner, scrolling through his phone. Luna had just released a new single, and the resulting chatter had begun to spiral. "Yeah," she replied, picking at the remnants of her fries, her stomach churning despite the exuberance of recent days. "It's like the more exposure I get, the more negativity surfaces. It's frustrating." Eli leaned closer, the concern etched on his forehead. "Ignore them. Remember why you're doing this. You've already conquered so much. Don't let others take your joy." He was right, of course, but the nagging voices clung to her subconscious like an unwanted shadow. The barrage of criticism flooded back to her. How easily the bubbles of affirmation could burst with one harsh remark. As much as she yearned to deflect the negativity, it gnawed at her. Determined to rise above, she threw herself into her music, using it as an outlet for the doubts that clouded her mind. Late nights turned into early mornings as she penned new songs and collaborated with other emerging artists. Deep down, she sought not just to prove herself to others, but to reclaim her self-worth by embracing the stories woven into her lyrics. Yet, a pivotal moment arrived when Luna received an invitation to perform at a notable showcase in the city, a chance to reach a wider audience. The opportunity promised not only exposure but potential record deals, bringing her one step closer to her dreams. It felt like destiny, but as the days trickled down to the event, stress gnawed at her like a relentless tide. Tension crackled in the air when the big day arrived, and Luna found herself standing backstage, panic tightening her chest. The thrumming noise of the crowd reverberated beyond the curtain, and peeling back layers of anxiety became a Herculean effort. She could see the polished acts that had graced the stage before her, each performance wrapped in a veneer of perfection, while she felt raw and unpolished beneath the weight of shifting expectations. "I can't do this," she whimpered to Eli, who stood nearby offering support. "What if I mess up? What if they don't like me?" "Focus on the music," Eli urged, the sincerity in his voice wrapping around her like armor. "Remember, this is your art. No one can take that away from you, no matter what they say." But for the first time since she found her grounding, doubt lodged tightly in her mind, a choking vine threatening to strangle her creativity. It wasn't just the previous negativity that hung over her, but the fear of losing everything she had fought for. Then, but a moment before stepping on stage, she spotted Miguel among the audience. His presence struck her like a lightning bolt, igniting both anger and regret in her heart. Despite their past, a small part of her had secretly wanted validation from him, a smattering of acknowledgement for the girl who had once been lost among her own insecurities. But no more. She refused to let his expectations define her. The battle had taken its toll, but she had emerged brighter, stronger. The unseen weight fell from her shoulders as she expunged the remnants of concern. The festival crowds cheered as she took a deep breath, channeling the sound of her name echoing through her mind like a mantra. Stepping into the spotlight, her gaze met the excited faces that beamed back at her, a sea of expectation replaced by warm encouragement. She gripped her guitar and found a moment of stillness, letting the energy of the room unfurl around her, swirling like a benevolent storm. Launching into her first song, she poured her heart into every note. The lyrics flowed out like healing salve for the wounds she had collected along the way. In that moment of vulnerability, she felt a warming surge of clarity. This was her journey, and she had every right to share it. People swayed to the rhythm, and she could feel their energy pushing her forward. The roar of applause after the first song renewed her spirit, a confirmation of her voice, a validation that she belonged there, doing what she loved. As the set unfolded, she unfolded before the audience. Internal battles transformed into cathartic expression, helping her navigate through the highs and lows of her journey. Each note became an affirmation, each lyric an embrace from those who understood the struggles of chasing dreams amidst the noise of self-doubt. By the time she wrapped up her set, she was overcome with euphoria, her heart singing louder than any critic could whisper. The crowd's response was electric. They cheered and hooted, the applause crashing over her like waves on a shore. Luna felt a sense of liberation embrace her. Each sound carried away echoes of fear, replacing them with an unwavering, newfound resolve. As she stepped off the stage once more and embraced Eli, the flood of validation washed over her, a realization that she no longer needed to chase approval. Her triumph was merely the beginning of forging ahead with her artistry, unbound by limitations. But the journey was far from over. As she returned to her seat among friends, Luna felt a renewed sense of purpose. The industry might be fickle, but her voice was real, her stories genuine. There would be challenges yet to come, but she would face them head-on, unwavering and unbreakable, one note at a time. With her performance behind her, Luna emerged from the spotlight feeling an exhilarating glow. She had poured her essence into every note, and the response of the crowd validated her journey. Surrounded by heartfelt congratulatory hugs, it hit her. She was no longer just the girl from the diner. She had transformed into an artist whose voice mattered. As the weeks rolled on, the initial excitement morphed into the grind of the music industry. Conversations shifted to business proposals, meetings turned into negotiations, and the demands of success began to weigh heavily on her shoulders. As she navigated the complexities of contracts, whispers of compromise filled the air. Critics around her hinted at the necessity to conform, to package herself in a way that might appease the market. This pressure loomed like a dark cloud, making Luna question if she could continue to be true to herself. "Have you seen what they're saying online?" Eli asked her one evening at their favorite diner. His brows knitted together in concern as he scrolled through the reviews. Seems like everyone has an opinion about how you should sound. With a sigh, Luna glanced down at her coffee. It's overwhelming. It's like everyone is just waiting for me to stumble or to fit into a box I don't belong in. The self-doubt bubbled to the surface, threatening to overshadow her recent success. Don't give in, Eli replied, steadying his gaze on her. Remember why you're doing this. Stay true to your vision and let that guide you. That's what brought us here. His words settled in her heart like a warm embrace. Drawing a deep breath, Luna nodded, deciding it was time to reclaim her voice. Inspired, she turned to her guitar, letting the familiar chords transport her back to a place of comfort. Thoughts of her mom flooded her mind, echoing Clara's encouragement. Trust your voice, Luna. It is your superpower. With a spark ignited, she reached out to fellow artists for a collaborative songwriting session, gathering friends who shared her struggles in the industry. Their laughter and camaraderie filled her small apartment, transforming it into a sanctuary where creativity could flourish free from judgment. As they played, stories flowed naturally, a reminder that they were all navigating their own journeys, battling their own fears and insecurities. This is what it's about, Eli remarked, his excitement palpable as they shared melodies, true connections and creativity. We have to keep this real. With each shared laugh and chord struck, Luna felt lighter. The weight of expectation lifted, leaving behind a clear space for authenticity to thrive. Surrendering to her creativity, she spent countless nights crafting new songs that mirrored her realities, the joy, the doubt, the hope she clung to. The joy of creating transformed into tangible art, a collection of songs that felt like pieces of her soul laid bare. Finally, the dawn arrived for her EP release, a culmination of dreams, struggles, and passion. With nervous anticipation, she pressed publish. As the first song hit the airwaves, she held her breath, and soon positive responses began to flood in like a tide of affirmation. Listeners resonated with her truth, and Luna felt her heart swell with gratitude. As she performed the new songs under the spotlight, the crowd responded, their energy revitalizing her spirit like a vibrant pulse. With each note echoed back to her, she felt the connection deepening, a shared understanding that transcended her doubts. The audience was there not only to listen, but to reflect a part of their own stories through her music. Evenings spent in quiet contemplation allowed her to step outside under the expansive sky, where the stars twinkled like endless possibilities. It was in these moments that she felt a sense of acceptance, a knowing that while the music industry would always ebb and flow, she had cultivated a bond with her music that would remain steadfast. Through the highs and lows of her career, Luna recognized that she was not just an artist chasing approval, but a woman who had stepped into her own power. She was ready to face future challenges with resilience, buoyed by the support of friends and the vibrant memories she continued to create. Embracing the journey ahead, Luna knew she would take each step unbound by limitations, writing her own narrative along the way. Every chord played, every lyric penned, brought her closer to the heart of who she was meant to be. It was about trust, connection, and authenticity, each note a step closer to fulfilling her dreams.